Good morning, security gang. Welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm the host and Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you all for tuning in to this Tuesday morning, January 13th, 2026, a packed show for all of y'all today with so much to talk about here as we enter the second week of the year, 13 days into it. And the cyber world does not slow down. It does not rest. There's no rest for the weary. There's only more and more stuff for us to do, which is great because it's a job security, but it also means that we've got to be at the top of our game. And that's why you're tuning into this very podcast. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Cancer Research Center hit by ransomware, Spain's largest power utility disclosing a customer data breach, Target's development servers drama over alleged source code theft, Russia's APT-28 turns its sight on energy and defense collaboration. Then we're going to hit some zero-day in Google, on an Instagram reset flaw, browser in the browser Facebook steals, LLMs in the crosshair, and N8N supply chain twist to something we already talked about last week, and a wild port smuggling conviction in the Netherlands that made me shake my head a little bit when reading the story, and I couldn't but not share it with all of y'all. So with that being said, I've got my double espresso this morning, ready to just make a day out of it. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. This morning, I made myself a Lavazza because there's no better. Well, there is, but Lavazza is by far the most consistent in terms of espresso flavor. Now, a secret for those of you that have an espresso capsule, someone asked me this on YouTube. Put them in the fridge. So if you buy an espresso capsules, whether the old school ones, like the ones I like, or the new school ones, the Virtue ones, put them in the fridge. You have no idea what that does to your coffee. Keeps it fresh, doesn't get stale. Especially if like me, like I order like 200 capsules at a time. They sit out, they get stale. So there's that. All right, let's move into today's story with the University of Hawaii's Cancer Center being hit by ransomware. It takes a different type of scum to hit a cancer center in Hawaii, which is already isolated, for the sake of getting them to pay you money. I mean, there's a special place in hell reserved for people like that. But that's just my feelings. Let's get into the healthcare research organization with sensitive private health information, clinical data, and even grant material reporting a ransomware incident. Even partial outage can delay patient care coordination, trials, and even billing, which delays saving lives. Personal healthcare exposure, downtime for scheduling, EMR interfaces, and vendor access disruptions, are all part of this specific attack. The university, founded in 1907, has 3 universities and 7 community colleges, as well as 10 campuses and a training and research centers across all Hawaiian Islands. Its cancer center is located in Kaka'aku district of Honolulu with over 300 faculty and staff, as well as 200 affiliate members. During the process, UH made the difficult decision to engage the threat actor in order to protect individuals whose information may have been affected. A limited set of research files, not medical treatment records, including some containing historical personal information, was involved. This happening back in August, by the way. Initial reviews found that ransom was paid for the decryptor and the deletion of stolen data. That was the decision U of H made there. And you can judge them, and you can't, like I'm not for paying ransoms as a general rule of thumb. I frown upon it a bit, but they had to do what they had to do to save lives. And it's easy to armchair quarterback. I always say that. It's easy for people to sit back and go, wow, why'd you make that decision? I don't like doing that because I don't know the facts at the time a decision was made. Until I see all the facts at the time a decision was made, then I can feel comfortable giving an opinion on it, and an educated opinion, not just some, click-worthy, share-worthy type of stuff, but an actual professional opinion on it. I can't give it. And I don't know that I wouldn't have changed my own opinion on paying a ransom if I knew lives were on the line. I don't know. Could you look at a patient in the eye and realize you shortened their life? Could you look at their family and realize you did it all for the sake of not paying a ransom? That's probably likely what they had to deal with. That was probably part of their decision making in that crisis room at the time this event took place. Easy to comment after the fact. So easy. So hard to actually live through it. We'll move to Spain, where Spanish energy provider Endesa, one of the largest in the country, is reporting a customer data breach. Customer records at a tier one utility are an extortion magnet. And if you want to understand this, you should understand that what happened here is they're saying attackers accessed the company systems and accessed contract related information, which did include personal details like basic identification detail, like contact information, national identity numbers, contract details, payment details, including IBANs, um, which is significant. IBANs, for those who don't know, are account numbers, banking account numbers. With an IBAN, you can pretty much put in payment orders. You can take over the accounts. There's a bunch of stuff one could do with IBAN, a bunch. So you can expect a bunch of targeted phishing and potential SIM swap attempts against some of those high value customers. You're likely going to see an investigation by the GDPR, the Spanish regulator, on how this happened. And now the database is up for sale on one of the larger hacking websites there, forums. Again, the hacker claims to have 1 terabyte in SQL databases with Endesa customer information. So that all aligns there, folks. The company is promised to directly notify customers in the affected coming days as its investigation is still ongoing. So, one thing to know about IBANs, if you have family that lives in Spain, in Europe, and you want to help them out, no one will ever go to the bank, change your IBAN number. Go to the bank, change your IBAN number. I'll say it again. Go to the bank, change your IBAN number. Don't even risk it. It's not worth it. All right. A Target dev server is taken offline after attackers claimed that they got access to the source code. So the dev test environments are often kind of, they may hold real secrets. They hold tokens, CICD creds, and even some config files. So this specific scenario, while it's not prod, has all the indications of what is operating in prod, just without any of the security. The attackers are claiming to be selling internal source code belonging to Target after publishing what appears to be a sample stolen code repository on public software development platforms. Target reported telling Bleeping Computer that the files were taken offline, and the retailer Git server became inaccessible from the internet. Last week, Bleeping Computer received a tip that a threat actor was posting screenshots in private hacking communities to support claims that they'd gain access to Target's internal development environment. The same actor also published repositories on Gita, self-hosted Git service similar to GitHub or GitLab, as a sample of the data the actor claimed was being offered for sale. So the Gita sample repository names included Wallet Service, Wild Pentest Collections, Target IDM, Tap Provisioning API, Store Lab, WAN Downer, Secret Stocks, and Gift Card Red, Gift Card UI. So some of these there, the Target Git server is no longer up. It's actually offline and locked behind the internet, which is traditional for what you would do in this type of event. You would probably lock it behind. And again, we'll continue to monitor this and the response from Target as it's there. But one thing really important is you do want to put even your dev environment behind a VPN or some sort of security kind of login. You don't want that Git server just sitting out there. A lot of companies do that. Target isn't the only one. It's kind of like an industry thing. Like, who cares what they get in dev? It's not prod. It doesn't have prod data. But if they get kind of the balance of your source code, and now with AI, they can run through and find vulnerabilities and then try that on your prod environment, then you're in a world of hurt, right? And you're kind of regretting leaving your dev open. So just something to keep in mind there as well. All right, let's move to Fancy Bear and Russia. APT 28 is targeting energy research and defense collaboration. The classic long dwell espionage that the Russians are known for, with credentials first, malware second, aimed at research programs, energy projects, and even joint ventures. Initial access for these types of events is usually phishing or OAuth abuse or living off the land. For this one specifically, Fancy Bear is known for this kind of stuff. Last year, they a credential harvesting activity. They targeted people associated with Turkish Energy and Nuclear Research Agency, a European think tank, and even entities in North Macedonia and Uzbekistan. So the campaign relied heavily on free hosting and tunneling services like webhook.site, Infinity Free, Bynet Internet Services, and ngrok to host phishing content, capture user data, and manage redirections according to Recorded Future. And as part of the attack, the group employed a webhook relying on HTML to load a PDF Lore document in the browser for 2 seconds. The victim was then redirected to a second webhook hosting a spoofed OWA login page where they would do that. So again, they were doing it on Sophos and Google Pages, so trying to steal people's information there. That's the modus operandi of these guys. So conditional access really matters here. IP allow list, device posture management, all of that is critical. CISA is ordering feds to patch a Google RCE exploited as a 0-day here. This is CVE 2025. Give me just a second here. 8110. It's a remote code execution vulnerability here. Sorry, just a second. I lost my eyes here on this. So this is a high severity Gogs vulnerability that's being exploited in 0-day attacks. It's designed as an alternative to GitLab or GitHub Enterprise. Written in Go, Gogs is often exposed online for remote collaboration. This is a remote code execution that's stemming from a path traversal weakness in the puts connects API and allows authenticated attacker to bypass protections implemented from a previously patched RCE bug that's CVE 2024-55947 by overriding files outside the repository through symbolic links. So again, you want to rotate repo and deploy keys. You should enable server-side secret scanning and watch for new webhooks and any sort of unexpected tokens there as well. Instagram, 2 days in a row on my show is not a good start to the year, Instagram. So now they're fixing a password reset vulnerability and met leak noise. That leak is what we talked about on the show on Monday. 17 million accounts allegedly had their username and passwords leaked. Brand accounts and ad managers are high value accounts for those, but now they're fixing it because we now know that the issue here was a vulnerability that allowed an external party to request password reset emails for some Instagram users. While the company has not shared further details on the weakness, many users complained on X about receiving those emails themselves. They want to reassure that no one was really actually breached and all that good stuff, but nonetheless, they still did that there as well. So there's that aspect there. Speaking of Instagram, let's move to Facebook, where login thieves are using browser in the browser for stealing OAuth tokens for Facebook. They pop up, they look pixel perfect, can harvest credentials and even MFA codes. You want to favor passkeys and security keys, train users to open a fresh tab to login.facebook.com, disable third-party cookies for risky apps. If you allow people to access Facebook in your environment, you should do that. Again, the BITB phishing techniques was developed by Mr. Docs in 2022. Cyber criminals later adopted it, especially in places like Facebook and Steam, where it is really, really important. And again, you want to look at the URL, and you can actually see the redirect there and the malicious iframe mimicking the login page, but it's really not it. You kind of have to go all the way through. You can't teach users how to do that, but you can block it probably within your firewall or within your browser controls as well. So something to keep in mind there. LLMs are getting into attacker crosshairs. Agents and chat features are becoming new exfil path and even lateral movement helpers. You want to treat model inputs as untrusted, add retrieval, allow list, constrain tools, scrub outputs before use, require human in the loop for any sort of sensitive actions. This is happening between October and January. So in the last 3 months, the company's honeypot for gray noise captured 91,000 attack sessions, including assaults associated with 2 different campaigns. And again, the stuff you're talking about here is VPS-based attack infrastructure and so much more. So pay attention to that, folks. The N8N supply chain abuse continues with low-code automation often running with org-wide secrets. You want to update to the fixed release, hide admin UIs, rotate all stored credentials, and review execution logs for any odd outbound calls, least privilege API scopes, and workflows. Folks, threat actors have been uploading a set of 8 packages on the NPM registry that masquerade as integrations targeting the N8N workflow automation platform to steal developers' OAuth credentials. That's why you want to take a look at this. These are the nodes that you see here. And again, the one with the most is the GasDH It's got over 8,000 downloads. So you want to make sure you rotate these as soon as humanly possible. And finally, our final story here for the show today. A Dutch court sentences a 44-year-old man to 7 years in prison for hacking a major port in Belgium to help smuggle cocaine into the Netherlands. The Amsterdam Court of Appeals ruled Friday that the man played a central technical role in the criminal network that exploited port computer systems in 2020 and 2021, allowing traffickers to move drugs through Europe's logistics hubs without detection. Prosecutors said the operation enabled the import of 210 kilograms of cocaine via the port of Rotterdam, one of Europe's largest ports and a key gateway for global trade. The defendant persuaded a port employee at a container terminal in Antwerp to plug a USB stick loaded with malware into a work computer. The malicious software then created a digital backdoor, giving the attacker remote access to internal port systems used to manage containers, gates, and even personal access. Being able to manipulate that, getting the cocaine out of the port without being detected by law enforcement. He'll spend 7 years in prison and have a lot to think about while he's sitting in there, although it's a European prison, so it's kind of like a Motel 6 here. So there's that. If you don't know what that is, Google it. All right. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, with all the latest cybersecurity news. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.